Call the meeting to order. Those willing and able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, everybody make sure you're mic'd up. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second. Amy and Lance. Deb's not back yet. Okay. Okay. Is there any discussion on the agenda? Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval of the agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion passes. Move on to number 4, public forum. No visitors? Okay. Move on to number 5, presentation, 5.1, Shane Cowell, wind turbine.
Hello.
Hello.
So proposing to buy or work with the school on the turbine that's out here that's not running. I put together kind of a proposal for everybody to see. I don't know if everybody had a chance to read through it. If not, I can kind of go through it, highlight in a few areas. I've owned a turbine at my place now for almost 20 years. So I've dealt with Suzlon, them going down and finding other people to take care of it, so lots of different things over the years. What I'm coming up with here is a proposal to fix the turbine, create revenue. It's not a lot of revenue for the school district, but it does save the funds of decommissioning it, because we would be setting funds away over the next 10 years to pay for that. Originally, when I started talking to Kevin, we were emailing back and forth, and I said we'd buy it for $1. And then he reminded me of the old school and all that, and I'm like, yeah, that wasn't the right way to put that. So what I come up with was a plan to take them decommissioning funds, which I would use to initially buy the turbine, and then years going forward, we would put it into account. So say 5 years down the road, something happened to me, something wasn't there, at least them funds would be accessible to the school board. With that, we'd also be paying 5% of the revenue to the school for, if we want to call it a land lease, whatever we want to call it. One thing with that, I think it's roughly like $3,500 a year. I look at it, if it's not something the board is interested in for the school budget, maybe it's something we set aside as a scholarship for someone that wants to go to school for renewables or something like that. Proposal kind of spells out everything in here as far as, all the filings with FERC. We would do all that. We would work with Sioux Valley to renew the power purchase agreement. In my conversations with them, they do not want to lose the turbine because they have money already spent on the interconnect and things like that. So they want to work with somebody to get it back up and running. So work with them, work with FERC, all the things it would take to get it back going again. On this proposal, it is contingent on an inspection of the turbine. As of now, I'm going off of what Kevin has told me. I think it's the main shaft and bearing on the generator. And I have talked to folks on that, fixing that. I have found some upgrades for the turbine. So I have them in my proposal also.
So would the inspection be at any cost to us?
No.
Okay.
My plan here is no cost to the school.
Okay.
It's a way to create some funds to decommission. If I remember right, you guys already approved funds to decommission it?
Yeah.
So there would not be that cost to the school by doing this. In the proposal, I have everything spelled out in there, and I got the impression from Kevin that he thought I was making a ton of money on this. It shows at the bottom, there's not a lot of money being made. I'm a supporter of green energy. I live out on the Buffalo Ridge, and we had all the Zon turbines up there, and then they come and tear them all down, put new ones up, just so they can get the tax credits. And it just disgusted me, because them turbines, just like this one, they're green. They're finally producing green energy. So it's hard for me to watch them get tore down. One of the other things I do have in my pro forma is we have $17,000 a year getting set aside for future repairs. With that, the way I have the proposal wrote, at the end of 10 years, let's say we didn't spend a dime on repairs. We know that's not going to happen, but so we would have $170,000 there. I would split that 50-50 with the district. But say it's 100. Say we spend 70 on repairs over the 10 years. We'd be splitting 100. The numbers that my pro forma are based off of is the past 2-year history of the turbine, what it produced. I do have, normally you can run about 95% availability. I did knock it down to 90 since it is an older turbine. You're always going to have a few more repairs. That turbine there, they're running them in Europe now. They're over 30 years old. They're a great turbine. They're simple. There's not a lot to go wrong with them. It doesn't have a lot of electronic sensors, things like that. Stall regulated. So, any questions?
Anybody have questions? So for what I see, the district receiving the land lease, I mean, that's not even going to cover our cost of insurance on it.
I have insurance in here. I pay the insurance.
But we still have to have insurance for the district. Because the district's still liable because it's on our property. I mean, it's no different than when I rent farmland, I still have to insure that farmland.
Because you're the renter.
Yes.
But then the landlord doesn't have to have,
They still have to carry their own liability insurance as well, because if anything happens there, they are the owner of the land.
so to me that looks like there's an overlap of insurance.
Well, there's an overlap in coverage, but we still have to protect the district if, say, the turbine fell over on something or threw ice off and hurt somebody, or we need to be protected.
So if you're carrying that insurance, and this is out of my league, so it's something I can figure out, but I look at it for, if you're carrying insurance, if something like that happened, why do I need to carry the $5 million insurance? Because someone would never be able to collect from both insurance companies anyway.
Yeah, they can. I just had a truck accident, so I dealt with that, and both insurance companies are on the hook until it is finally settled. And it can come back. One insurance will cover, I mean, unless you assume 100% liability, then my insurance would have to be the one to kick in. And if we don't have any coverage on it, we're just sitting there with a liability that
Gotcha.
could take us down.
You're,
And I agree, a guy would have to talk with higher up insurance company individuals, but I don't foresee where that would be a possibility that we could get by without carrying coverage on it.
I'm not 100% on that answer, so, but I would definitely check it out.
So I mean, even at that, with your proposed land lease, we're still going to be $1,400 short. Then, in my opinion,
So you're saying your insurance just for that is $5,000?
it's just under $5,000.
Yep.
We did check into that.
And that's for like a $5 million liability, or you don't know?
I would have to check with the insurance company.
We're insured for millions and millions and millions of
I'm sure,
dollars.
yeah.
Right.
For all
There's
kinds of
lots.
things with
Yep.
everything that we have. So it's a part of our insurance policy. What the exact details are, I'm not 100% sure.
I'm interested to know on that because, like you said, your truck accident, that is two parties having the accident. If something happened out here, it'd be three parties. So
Yep.
one's overlapping there where,
Yep. But I just,
so here's, all the people that get wind turbines on their places now that they lease, they're not liable for anything like that if it gets hurt. I understand this is school, it's a little bit different, so a lot of research needs to be done.
I think if you really dove into it, but see, it's a difference though, because they don't own the turbine. They are leasing the land for the turbine.
Yep.
We own the turbine.
Which I have in here, lease or buy the turbine, however you want to word it, lease the land.
Right,
So if you
but they're strictly leasing the land to the turbine company,
which we would do if we bought the turbine.
which we own the turbine, so the only way we could possibly get out from underneath it would be to sell the turbine.
Yep.
And I'm not so sure the insurance company would say, well, yeah, you can sell it, but you still gotta, I think we would still have to maintain enough coverage,
Being a school, I totally understand that.
you know? And, yeah, 20 years, nothing has happened, but our footprint has gone north.
Yep.
So our liability chances are much more greatly enhanced right now.
Gotcha,
So, I mean, that is definitely one thing that would have to be checked out,
for sure.
you know?
I think it's an interesting proposal, though. I think it's an option that we should look at, myself.
Well, and if we want to have more discussion on it and look deeper into it, you know, we would have to, really, we got to make a motion to rescind the decommissioning of it right now, then, wouldn't we?
Yeah, last month you approved moving forward with
Right,
getting bids for, we haven't
done it.
I haven't brought the bids. That would be next month probably for that, so. That's where that's at.
Or
I
we,
mean, we've talked about this before. I mean,
Right.
why would we get a third party involved? Why wouldn't we just fix it ourselves and make 35 grand a year? Our concern is the repairs and the lifetime and the maintenance and our footprint going further north. So
I like the idea. I mean, if you guys want to fix it and keep it yourself, I'll gladly.
that was an option we've
I'll
considered.
gladly
right?
help. I just hate to see it tore down.
well, and I agree. I mean, over the years, it's been a good turbine. I mean, it's produced well and has saved the district some money. But in the beginning, it also was a project put on by Excel.
Yep.
That if the district would have had to say, okay, let's invest in a wind turbine, I don't think they would have even considered it.
Yeah.
But due to the Excel project giving the funds to do it,
Yep.
you know, it made fiscal sense.
Mhm.
And over the years, it has. So, I mean, it is definitely an interesting proposal, and I think the best we could do is wait and see what insurance companies have got to say, and,
That's the biggest question right now. I didn't even think of that. I thought if it was sold, the land was leased, you could take it right off your policy, but maybe not, so.
yeah, I just don't see how you would be able to.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure even like those leases over there, if you get into the nitty-gritty of the fine print, that there's something that either protects the wind turbine company or does give an enhanced protection to the individual who owns the land.
I have a couple of them contracts at home. I can dig into them and see. But the big question is the insurance company.
Yes.
I'll ask who I use. You guys can check with
Yep.
what you use, so.
Okay. Any further questions for Shane? Any further questions? Okay.
I have one.
Sure.
So once I get this info, do I just reply back on an email to everybody, or how do we move forward with that?
Send it to Kevin.
Okay, gotcha.
Kevin is our go-to person, and he'll send it out to
Okay,
everybody.
gotcha. Perfect.
Because you're going to want your information, and Kevin will check with our insurance provider
Okay.
and go from there then.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So do we have to have a motion, guys?
What's that?
No, we don't need nothing right now?
We don't need a motion on that.
Okay. Fair enough.
Okay, then we will move on to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Katie and Chrissy,
Come on.
any discussion on the consent agenda? Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion passes.
We did have a Jasper Lions Club donation.
Oh, that's true. And we would like to thank the Jasper Lions Club for a donation of $200 to the Wellness Room. We'll move on to 7, the financials, review of elementary building budget year-to-date. Jackie.
Everything's tied out, I guess that's all I have to say. I sent it to Tyler, and he looks at it, and I assume I don't know, he doesn't want his job, but I assume he looks at it to see if we're at, and if the money remaining is what it's supposed to be, and whatnot.
Okay. Are there any questions for Jackie on?
Contingency-wise, we're fine yet, Kevin?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what you said the other night.
Yeah, we're sitting at about 180,000, but then there's other, when you start getting down to the end here, they had budgets, and they're under budget in some areas, so we just have to wait and kind of see how that plays out. Right now, the biggest issue is the kitchen remodel, and in the weight fitness wrestling room area, when they're digging into our current building, that's where they were concerned about if they come up or come across something, but so far, knock on wood, haven't had any calls about any issues. A few of the things that they've sent by me have been very minor, $800 here or $1,000, so nothing too major. So I know I'll just do the bills for the month was $823,000 for May, and to date, $22.9 million have been spent with the project, so that's where that's at.
Okay. 7.12, approve treasurer's report. Oh, no. Yeah. 7.11, review elementary building bills. Are there any questions on the elementary building bills? Any questions on the elementary building bills? Hearing none, then we move on to 7.1.2, approve the treasurer's report for elementary building bond. Are there any questions on that? Any questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the treasurer's report for the elementary building bond?
So move.
Lance, do I have a second?
Second.
Katie? All those in favor to approve the treasurer's report for the elementary building bond signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion passes. 7.2, review of budget year-to-date. Jackie?
I made a few budget transfers, but they're between object codes. We're currently at 76%. Last year at this time, we're at 73%. It's fine.
The 3% is probably just because of the difference in the timing of the school year?
Well, last year, we went to distance learning starting in March, so I know we did see some savings that we were below budget, but we changed, so we're...
And as far as the COVID spending, the COVID money that we received, we spent that pretty much when we received it. Some of that, so that might be another reason why it's at a higher percentage.
Okay. Any other questions for Jackie? Any questions? Hearing none, although, that's a non-action. 7.3, approve treasurer's report for April 2021. It's raining.
That's good.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the air conditioner turned on.
Okay, cash balance at the end of the month was 6.8 million. Last year at this time was 6.7 million, so cash balance appears to be sufficient. I feel like that word.
Sufficient is
I
good.
like it.
You learned well. You learned well in school.
Okay, anybody have any questions for the treasurer's report for April of 2021? Any questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the treasurer's report for April of 2021?
So moved.
Brad
Second.
and Chrissy. All those in favor to approve the treasurer's report for April 2021 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion passes. 7.4, approve regular bills for May of 2021. Are there any questions on the regular bills? Any questions on the regular bills for 2021? Do I have a motion to approve the regular bills for May of 2021?
So moved.
Katie, do I have a second?
Second.
Brad. All those in favor to approve the regular bills for May of 2021 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion passes. Move on to 7.5, approval of high school activity bills for May of 2021. Are there any questions on the high school activity bills?
Did you ever figure that out, Kevin, that question I asked you about the speech? Or we don't know?
Yeah, typically they've had concession stands during speech meets, and then, I mean, they are here all day and ended up doing
Oh.
it. Mr. Zollner approved it, so.
Gotcha.
I wasn't aware of it, so I was going to visit with him about that process and
Okay.
what was going on there too. But they had 12 speech meets, and they're in the building all day, and
Okay.
that was what happened there, so.
Okay, are there any other questions on the high school activity bills? Any questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the high school activity bills for May of 2021?
So moved.
Chrissy, do I have a second?
Second.
Amy? All those in favor of approval of the high school activity bills for May of 2021 signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion passes. Move on to number 8, board forum and information, board reports and updates. Anybody from the board have something they want to offer? Well, Facility Steering Committee met this past week and took another tour of the district. The gym was all lit up, the air conditioning was on in there to help control humidity, and that floor is awesome. It's a beautiful floor
It looks really nice.
with the coloring in there and
Better than what they did.
and the walls with the new coloring on the walls changed the other color that Lance wasn't happy with, and
It looks 100 times better,
yes.
much better.
And some of the walls in the grade school portion have got sensory stuff on the walls, sensory paneling, and that really is pretty neat too. All in all, it's really coming along great. Anybody else have anything?
Can I add something?
Sure.
From the facility, we've okayed all the asphalt work out there, but the bid or the quote came in above what we had approved, so it's 60,000 over, which needs full board approval, so I would ask for a motion to move forward with all the asphalt improvement that we need to do for the whole site. Part of it is that main drive-in, they have to dig that out and get the base in right. I think we patched that enough, and so they're going to get the base in right, so that's part of it. And then they just did an analysis of what we need, so I would ask for approval from the full board for because that's above the $25,000 change order, so.
Okay. Any questions for Kevin on that?
So that was never bid earlier? It was bid or it was not, or we changed it?
It was one of our extras. When
Okay.
we did the weight room, we also said we wanted to get all of the asphalt, like the
Right.
library parking lot, the road coming in, the athletic parking lot, but all the other, like the road and the new parking lots, that was all a part of
In
that.
part of it.
This is that other,
Extra.
all
Okay.
the other stuff that wasn't a part of the project, and we wanted to make sure that when you drove on here,
Right.
all the asphalt was new, so it looks,
Okay.
you don't
Yep.
have the old asphalt in the old parking lot and stuff like that.
Construction was pretty hard on it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Right.
Right.
And the main
never
added
been good.
expense is having to pull that down and rebuild the subgrade.
And we approved $250,000 for all that work, but the quote actually came in at $310, so it's $60,000 over what we had originally approved.
So is there anything in place, like, where you come into instead of, you either go to the circle drive or you go straight ahead to the athletic doors? Is there, where all that water sits all the time there, is there any way to drain that out of there? So
Think
that it's
that-
not sitting on top of the,
Right in the intersection? Yeah, that's part of what
Okay.
this,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
that's
perfect.
the site work they got to get done, because
Okay,
that's why it's
awesome.
always bad, because the
well, right,
water
that's why I think it
there.
sits there
Yeah.
and doesn't, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Perfect,
they will correct that and get that drained appropriately.
Yep.
like it.
Okay. So would somebody like to make a motion to approve the added
So moved.
tarring?
Second.
Got Brad and we have Katie. Okay, any further discussion on it? Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the $60,000 increase for asphalt repair signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion passes. Move on to number 9, Administrators Report, number 9.1, Superintendent's Board Report, Enrollment and Food Service Contract.
Enrollment is up 2 for the end of the school year and up 6 from the beginning, from back in September. So our enrollment was positive, but we were down. So some of that was students returning from distance learning and such. Last month, we opened up the food service bids, and Taher was the only company that submitted a proposal. So we will go again with Taher. They did drop some of their prices, so we will see some savings there. And they've done a good job, so I think that'll be fine. We have to go out for bid every 4 years with food service when we contract with an outside vendor. So we will be going back out again in 4 years for that. I also wanted to add legislatively, they've kind of agreed on a target for funding. They've set the number, but they haven't allocated how that's exactly going to be spent. We've been advocating for 2% each year on the formula, so there is enough for that and some of the other things that they want. So hopefully here in the special session, they'll get it worked out and they put as much on the formula as we can get, because that's the best for us to see it all go into the general fund and not into other dedicated areas. So, and then the final thing I had was my superintendent evaluation should be done here each year in June. So the question was, how did you want to do that? Typically, we've had different formats where you fill out some things in line with superintendent competencies or with our goals. Jeff and I have talked, and then usually the board chair visits with me, and then we usually close the session in June, and if there's any issues, we discuss them then. So, but right now, I don't know if you guys just want to put down some things or thoughts and give them to Jeff, or do you want to have more of the spreadsheet fill out? It's kind of up to you. How do you want to give me some feedback on where things are at? So,
Because any way we want to do this is fine with the board. The board needs to make that decision. Do we want a full 3, 4, 5-page one like we had before, or do we just want each individual to just jot down concerns or pluses, and then we'll meet with them, present it to me, and then I'll meet with them, and then we'll go into closed session then in June for it.
I guess I'm
Sounds
okay
good.
with doing a relaxed one without this
Okay.
year and seeing how it goes, and then we can decide if it's not something we like, next year we could go back to the other way. If we, just,
Yep.
sometimes I think it's hard to fill out that sheet because it's hard to put, certain things, you don't know where to put it, and it's just
Right.
sometimes it feels like you're repeating yourself,
I thought it was confusing the last time we did
Yeah.
that.
Okay,
so.
okay.
I can still make a sheet just so you can give some feedback and compiles, and we can get it to Jeff, so. Okay?
Perfect.
Okay.
All right.
Anything else, Kevin?
That's all I had for this month.
Okay, then we'll move on to 9.2, Principals Board Report. Tony, Corey, which one of you wants to start?
All right. Hello, everyone. I have two main things. First of all, we went through our season of graduation, and I thought things went really well. I know many schools are going to take advantage of the relaxed rules here in the next week or two, but we were still able to have almost 600 parents, families attend. And I also want to thank you for attending. Many of you were there and helped out and just supported our students who are graduating. So that was really awesome. And I thought overall, I thought it went really well, and just really proud of our seniors. So that was graduation. And then the other thing that we're really working on now is prepping for summer school and getting that communication out regarding the options. And specifically at the high school, we look at more credit recovery. And I know Ms. Wellnitz and Ms. Barman will talk about summer school for middle and elementary, but that's kind of that next big phase. We started a little earlier with the high school credit recovery. We're hoping to start June 7th with that and run that for a good portion of the summer till the end of July. So there'll be opportunities for students to take advantage of summer programming. So those are the two main things. I will say I know it's early, we just got done, but I am excited for the things that we have coming next year. And I think we've been laying the groundwork for a lot of things that align with the district's strategic plan and carrying that out at the middle and high school. So good things coming here in the next few months. That's all I have, unless you have questions.
I had some parents ask me if we were doing block scheduling again, or if we were going back to the other way. Do you know yet?
Yeah, we're actually doing a combination.
Okay.
So when I looked at it at the high school level, we were on what you would call a traditional 4x4 block. And knowing that two of the main concerns are for math and world language. They want more year-round opportunities for kids. So the best way to accommodate that and still maintain some of those block elements that many staff members felt were advantageous. The system that we're looking at is 2 blocks in the morning, and then followed by 4 45-minute classes starting right around 11 or so. So it'd be 6 classes a day for students, which I feel is appropriate for our kids to take. 2 of those will be roughly 80 to 85 minutes, and the other ones are right in that 45 to 49-minute time frame.
So that'd be like their math and their,
The majority
Language?
of math classes are on the
Blocks.
shorter,
oh, the shorter.
time frames. Yep.
Okay.
That way they have it year round.
Gotcha.
Correct. So it's it is a little different to look at and to figure out, and I know it's not ideal to change systems again, but the block is the same as what we've done for those first 2 blocks in the morning, and then if you look at when we were on a 7-period day, those afternoon classes are similar to that. And I look at it when you think of the development of kids and how they go through a school day. I think blocks in the morning are appropriate, and then the shorter classes in the afternoon are a little more in tune with the way kids learn and how they go through their day. So not the easiest thing to schedule, I'll tell you that. But
Yeah, that was going to be my next thing, because last year, the line for the scheduling was out the door. I mean, you
Yeah,
can't
it was
have that for the
ridiculous.
first 3 days of school. I mean, I don't know. That's tough, I think.
I agree, and we've made a concerted effort over the last 3 weeks of the school year to have a schedule in place. I'm farther ahead, honestly, than I've really ever been. And it's hard when you don't have all your staff in place to know exactly what you can and can't do.
Sure.
But I feel like we're in a much better position, and I know we spend a significant amount of time scheduling kids. Are we 100%? Unlikely.
Right. Well, that's a given. Do you think that you could get the schedules out to the kids a little bit sooner? Because I feel like, I don't know, with Katie, high school kids, Brad, I mean, they got it like a couple days before school, and then they're like, well, I didn't want to take that class. I think that's where the confusion comes in. I think if we can get the schedule out to the kids a little bit sooner, that way they can see what they want changed, so it's not a huge backlog.
Yeah. Well, there's two things there. First of all, you have to look at the timeframe that counselors are in to make those changes. And then when I talked to them the other day, we're looking at August 1st as making the schedule live so that parents and students can go in to their Synergy accounts and see what their schedules are.
Oh, good.
And then that way they can know, and then they can set up some timeframes to get in.
Sure. That's way sooner than it was last year, because I think last year it was like, I felt like it was 2 days.
When I think it'd make more sense to have people schedule like 10-minute slots or something, because, yeah, I stood in line for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Well,
You know what I mean?
we do ahead of time, but to be honest, not everybody wants to come in.
Well, that's fine.
People do, but a lot of kids just wait, and then we have the backlog. So it's not easy to get everybody in that we need to. So, but I do feel like we're farther ahead of the game than we have been. And last year was a little
Crazy.
quirkier. So, but that's one of the fun things coming next year. I think it's going to be, once we get into it, I think it's going to work really well. I just put the bell schedules together, which isn't easy when we start talking about the Wednesdays, early releases, and trying to mesh that with our staffing at the middle school, the teachers who teach PEs and the music people, so you have to navigate all those. But all in all, I think it's going to come together, work really well. And we are adding some advisory time. So in the middle school, we added intervention and prime to work with kids on both their skills in the win time, academic skills, and then their social emotional skills. So we're bringing some of those elements to the high school next year on a more concerted daily basis. So again, and I'll be explaining more of that as we go through and get closer to the year.
Okay, anybody else have any questions for Corey? Okay, then we'll move on to Tony.
So in wrapping up the school year, it was quite bittersweet. We had some celebrations, some heartfelt goodbyes to the two buildings with the kiddos. Recognizing that they've served their purpose and served it very well. Also celebrated being able to have our kids in all year round, and being able to make through a pandemic. And now we are working on summer school, and right now I have 56 students signed up for June approximately. We've just had a few come in, a few more today. July we have 75, and August we have 43. And again, we still have numbers still coming in, so we're pretty excited about that. We're doing a beach theme this year for all 3 sessions, so we're pretty pumped about that as well. And lastly, the preschool, we got our 3rd year CEM Classroom Engagement Model Achievement Award for our 3rd year and finishing that. So during a pandemic, yay! So that was really awesome. So
Okay.
that's all I got.
Anybody have any questions for Tony?
So these numbers, are they some of them the same students, or they're all different students?
Some are same and some
Oh,
are different.
okay,
So
both.
just some signed up for all 3, some signed up for
Okay.
June and August. Just kind of depended on
Gotcha.
what they wanted to sign up for.
Okay, any other questions? Any other questions? Okay, the one thing I would like to say is, from the board, and we've kind of discussed this back and forth, to thank our entire staff for a very good year, considering the way the year has provided challenges to all our staff, whether it be the teachers, the paras, the administrators, food service, busing, janitorial. They have done a very good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
So then, with having said that, 9.3, Director of Curriculum, Teaching and Learning.
Good evening. We had our last MCA testers on May 19th. Yes, that was after school got out. We opened up, the testing session was available until May 21st, and so we opened up the week after for our distance learning students. So I had about 11 each day. One day was for reading, one day was for math, and one day was for science. I didn't have anyone come in for science, but I had at least 11 each day for reading and math, and very polite, good testers, and they just wanted to do their best, and that's all I asked of them, so that was great, and was just very happy to get sessions closed. Had a few little hiccups of things we had to do differently from previous years, just because of coding and things for the pandemic. We also wrapped up FAST testing the last 2 weeks of school, and I'll report on both of those at a later date. FAST I can report in June, but I can't report on MCA preliminary data until it's unembargoed. So we can do that at a later date. We're also we're very excited for our summer school teachers. They've come in to plan, to ask for things to be ordered. They are just rip-roaring ready to go even the week out of school. So I'm really excited for our summer school students. And I'm just very proud of our staff for putting forth that effort, especially in a year where it would have been easier to say, I'm taking the summer off. So other than that, working with both principals, getting budgets and items ordered for curriculum-wise, and just looking at things in that manner. Does anyone have any questions?
Any questions for Mel? Okay, hearing none, then we'll move on to 10, discussion items. Nothing, Kevin?
None.
Any board member have anything they want to discuss? Nothing? Then we will move on to number 11, 11.1, Brown and Hill Elementary decommissioning.
The Facility Steering Committee has asked the board to look at the demolition of both Brown and Hill, and for us to solicit bids for that process. The committee, and I'm sure all of you remember our task force recommendations, and they wanted those buildings to be taken care of appropriately and not to have any funny business with them. So the demolition would be the next phase of where we would go with that. There was discussion of there's a lot of concern. You don't hear much about the actual buildings, but you do hear concern about the internal contents. And I think that once Kraus Anderson reminded us that when you do demolitions, sometimes the people who do the demolitions are looking at the internal contents, and they have a value on them, and they will pay you for what's in there. Not always, and not for everything, but sometimes they do because they see the value. And so I think when we've had those questions about that, we need to find out what these bids are for the demolition, and if the contents are a part of that or where they're at. So that was good advice from Kraus Anderson again, and something that we needed to know about. So that's where the committee was at with their meeting. So I don't know if anybody has any questions or.
Any questions?
We have done the asbestos abatement, so that's been done. and that will have to be taken care of before any buildings start coming down.
Okay, any questions? Okay, hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the Brown Hill Elementary decommissioning, and it's requesting proposals, or,
For demolition, yep.
and it's for the request of proposals for demolition of Hill and Brown?
So moved.
Brad, do I have a second?
Second.
Katie, any further discussion? Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the Brown and Hill Elementary decommissioning request for proposals signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion passes. 11.2, Summer COVID Safety Plan.
Just maybe one thing to add, that just means we're taking them down. Now, the next step of that will be, what do we do with the properties and where's that all go? So there'll be a lot of questions, but that's the next phase, so there isn't anything decided. We just keep moving forward with the steps of the plan. So this was step 2, so.
Okay.
The next is the summer safety plan. Once we ended school, the safe learning plan no longer applies to us as a school. Most schools are still in session, and of course on last Monday I got notified we have to have a summer safety plan that aligns with businesses and other entities. So what we have, and they have a template, and we put this together, kind of followed it, and just some of the highlights. We still need to, screen and make sure if you're not feeling well or you got symptoms of COVID, you shouldn't be coming to work and you shouldn't be here. If we do have cases, we will still have to contact trace and do the quarantining and those types of things. And then third, because our students are not vaccinated, we would require that if you're working directly with students that the masks will be worn. So, but as far as adults with our thing, the mask requirement has been rescinded for us right now, so that's where we're at. And because of everything, I wanted to wait for, of course, I see all the people here, so I don't know if we'll fit in 1148 anymore. Maybe we'll just have to stay out here. I don't know. But what I have is a proposal for a summer learning plan that we're required to have in place, and that's kind of the highlights of it. So looking for approval of that.
Do you know, going forward, has there been any discussion on if students are vaccinated, if they can skip quarantine at that point then, or no?
If you have your vaccine, yeah, you don't have to be quarantined if exposed. That was already in place.
Okay, I didn't know if that was part of it.
Right. And someone would have to, for a principal, you'd have to be notified and
Right.
you'd have to say, here's my vaccination.
Right.
But we can't require it or have anybody report it. But
Right.
And we had a few of those cases at the end of the year,
Okay.
so,
Yeah.
yeah, it was in play.
we
Okay.
sure make things a lot easier, so, but that's a decision families have to make.
Okay. Any other questions? Any other questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the summer COVID safety plan?
So moved.
Lance, do I have a second?
Second.
Chrissy, all those in favor to approve the summer COVID safety plan signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion passes. Number 12, adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Lance, do I have a second?
Second.
Katie, all those in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion passes. Meeting adjourned.